Okay, friends, welcome back to yet another session of Thinking on Destiny. We are in the chapter of re-existence and learning about the different aspects of the re-existence. Before we go further, what Percival told us for today, let us meditate on the Percival's consciousness and let his wisdom flow to every one of us. Please sit in a meditative posture. Please clasp your hands, cross your legs, and close your eyes. Observe your natural, soft, tranquil breath. When we say our thinking defines our destiny, we need to be mindful. Mindful living, mindful eating. In order to achieve that, mindful breathing is key. Please observe how you are taking vital energy into your body and how you are leaving your energy, leaving your breath. Take all positive energy and breathe out all your negative feelings. Do not slip any breath without your observation. Slowly place your hands on your eyes for a few seconds and open your eyes with a beautiful smile on your face. Before we go further, let's recap what we learned last session. Over to Karuna.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So, friends, we talked about fourth civilization in re-existence chapter, section 5. Basically, fourth civilization means it refers to the fourth generation of civilization development. We all know that Big Bang theory, how the Earth formed and galaxies formed and universe formed. Since then, the civilization was happening. So we talked about fourth civilization. So it is basically characterized by advanced technology and in patterns of growth and decay that were happening in the four elementals. We talked about four elements so far, right? Earth, water, fire, and air. So the changes that were happening in these basic four elementals were corresponding to the sum of thoughts of the people that were living are using those elements. So it's in, and it's vice versa. The thoughts of the people have changed. The movements that were happening in these elements are the changes that were happening there have influenced people's thoughts also. That's how over the years how the evolution has happened. Percival has explained us in the previous section. So there have been many changes in the surface distribution of land and water numerous times, and this happened because of upheavals and submersions, and these were happened suddenly or slowly. Sometimes liquids turned into solids and solids into gases, and the other way around. So all this was happened. Sometimes the action of fire took place underneath the water also. So he says this all these adjustments were happening and were made according to the sum of the thoughts of the people of the crust that we need to um, realize based, because I mean from this the essence of this section. So once these adjustments were changed, the climates changed. So where it was supposed to be a continuous summer, it was ice bed of thousands of feet where people were buried under the feet. And where it was supposed to be extremely cold region, it turned into a hot summer and tropical sun. So and modern days industrial development largely dependent on Earth's magnetic and electric currents. So he interestingly he described it as magnetism is an expression of feeling in matter, whereas an electricity is an expression of desire in matter. So as magnetic waves sweep through the lower layers of the crust of the earth, so does the waves of feeling run through the human bodies. So like and this evoked desires. So does the electric currents are also due to their actions in the field of nature. So different currents and forces operated not only in the earth but also in the water, fire, and air. So these currents and men's knowledge of how to use the changes that were happening in these elementals uh, gave people an age to the character of earth, water, air, and fire age. Because of these movements, these changes, people have changed their way of thinking in adjustments to the changes that were happening in these elements. And based on this, the industrial development and modern day development and technological development, the religions and spirituality, and so many things have formed over the number of years. So and at times there existed minerals, plants, and flowers. He interestingly talked about different minerals. You know, there was example for example there is a bluish metal. If it was held in the left hand and placed in an object, the holder could feel the qualities of the object. Like if it was a, if it was based on some vegetable, if it was a bit bitter gourd, and the holder who placed it on the bitter gourd, he could feel the qualities of the object, that is bitter gourd. So minerals have this kind of magical qualities in them. When the mineral kingdom and when this evolution was happening since the fourth civilization. So he also talked about different family of flowers. you know Family of flowers that existed once upon a time that would grow strong threads, and people would make beautiful fabrics with this colorful combination of these threads. And these resisted destruction, these combination of threads resisted destruction by fire. And also they were resistant to the water. So there were plants without roots, and they moved in the air, drawing nourishment from the air. And there were different flowers that have indelible colors. Indelible means which cannot be changed quite easily. So for example, interestingly, one flower, flowers being the sex part of the plant and affecting the sense of smell, which represent the earth smell, which represent the earth element in the body. So were powerful in these were powerful in certain ages. And some flowers were so powerful that could bring in death of instant that could bring instant death to a human being. And some flowers were large as 3 feet wide, and there were leaves of plants that were not always green. They were like as we see today. um, and at times the coloring of the leaves were red, blue, or yellow, or purple. At all times, flowers, leaves, and fruits were used in healing and in industrial development. And there were also different kinds of trees that grow uncommonly taller that you see today. And some trees grew in diameters like, very wide. uh, some wood in some of the trunks grew in geometrical figures of different colors. And fauna and flora furnished various juices which produced visions, and some were intoxicant and some were really narcotic, either naturally or they had been exposed to the sun or the moonlight. And there were also different types of plants. Fauna of various periods were produced. And there were some animals which were huge and fierce. And as the time passes, and these some of the animals were, some were domesticated for industrial purposes, some were also adopted, and some could be trained. And people could ride fish through the water and go under it with the fish. And we could also see there were also some birds that fly through the air while bearing human riders, like how we saw Jatayu and Garuda in Ramayana and all that. But there are also some birds that were carrying humans beneath their wings. So, since the first wave of fourth civilization, there were number of years of physical time have elapsed since then. In each wave, there were many fluctuations and cycles, sometimes small, sometimes large. And these cycles, these fluctuations, because of which the Earth crust was affected. Sometimes the trend of events was toward religion, sometimes toward architecture, sometimes toward the application of the forces of nature. You know, these form the characteristics of earth, water, fire, and air. And like at times, earth characteristic was dominant to the other elements like water, fire, and air. Based on that, the human civilization, they have adopted their lifestyle in such a way that they could withstand the changes that were happening in these four elementals. So I think that's what the essence of, madam.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for a great sense. Let's move on to the Earth Age, right? So previously, we have seen up to Earth Age because we have seen the civilizations and we also have seen the Earth Age. What are the things? How actually, what is the dominant factor and all, and how the development has been done? Because Earth is the being the powerful and the element, right? So that we have seen. And now after the Earth Age, means after the Earth Age is done, so the next the Water Age. Some people who ever lived in the Earth Age, they also moved into the Water Age because it's a continuous, right? It's not like one age is totally over or wiped up and the new age has started. So it is slowly transitioning. It's only right. So when in the Earth, there are some of the Earth Age people are there and the Water Age has started and they become that consciously. They learn these things in the Water Age, how the things will be there, and they become they also moved on to this Water Age. So this is beginning of another period like Earth civilization, right? So first Earth civilization is when Earth is the dominant. Now this is another civilization like the Earth Age was swept away slowly, and the gradual adaptation that people have adapted people, and they just slowly subsidizing the land and they are just going into the water. Okay, that is the Water Age. Is that most frequently Water Age is developed the out of the Earth Age only. From the Earth Age only, this was developed because uh, they are and people existed. Some of the people existed in both the ages, like both Earth Age as well as this one. The bodies of the people, the bodies, how the bodies are there when the in the Water Age, right? So the bodies of the people of the Water Age are more supple and quicker than that of the Earth Age. Earth Age, that gravity, most of the gravity and the weight, all the things are there, right? Here in the Water Age, what is happening is they are very supple. They can just quickly move around. So this is the move around kind of thing. there are the great lakes. There are so many great lakes, well-populated floating islands. Floating islands are there. There are so many great lakes are there. So automatically from the age of the earth that we learn, we can say that the water age, the transportation has started, the water and all those things we can guess it, right? The people build the houses, growing the plants and vines together. So just when they are growing the houses, right? Not just the houses, they also grown, means the water dominant, right? The water you are actually pouring and you are just growing up your plants, vines and all. So every house has some of the decorated artistically with the vines and plants. Okay. The houses were not more than 3 stores. So it is limited to the 3 stores. People grow the fruits and flowers from the vines that are part of their house. Every house has the part of their. Suppose if you go to the state Kerala, so you'll see that there is a banana plants and the coconut plants nowadays. Now also every house, even if it is a small hut also, you'll see there are some banana plants and some coconut plants. Similarly, in that civilization, when the water age was started, for every house they have the vines and plants are there as a part of it, and they started growing the flowers and fruits. They build the boats. So because of water age, right? So water age, they started building the boats. There are boats which can accommodate one person and which can travel under the water, like a submarine kind of thing, right? So they fitted their bodies in that and they could travel under the water. And there are some other boats where hundreds of people can foot and they are traveling on the water. Like we see those things also. Okay, how the air is drawn? Air is drawn from the water. Air is also drawn from the water by an appliance in the boat. In the boat, so that means air. Suppose if they want to have the air circulation, they used to draw some energy from the water and then they used to generate the airs. Like fan, if I take, right, the air it is generating from electricity. That electricity is coming from water, right? Water we can generate. That's how they started doing it. Some boats were built with the pileable wood and fish bones, some of the boats, and some are cemented by the plant juices, and so that the boats had flexibility. Some of them are having the cemented by the plant juices as well. Some people learn to run boats and some are not by the machinery. They know how to run the boats. Here it is an interesting point is they are not running the boats with the machinery or the force of the wind. It is not that. They are saying that certain feeling within their bodies. They used to run the boats, certain feeling within their bodies. The feeling has such a high energy that with the feeling they are able to generate, pull out the energy. Here he is saying that thinking and destiny, whatever you are thinking, that whatever it's making, right, that will become your destiny. So how here also, whatever that you are feeling, they are able to generate the energy out of it and they are able to run the boats also. That feelings, they are imparted to the rubber, rubber in the boat. Sorry. The feeling was generated from the abdominal and pelvic cavities. And those feelings were driven forward to run the boat. And that's how they used to run the boats. A navigator is held his hands to the tiller and so connected to the current of the water. A navigator is connected by having his hands, he is connected to the currents of the water and thereby utilized to propel the boat. That energy was used to propel the boat. That's how they used to run the boats in the water. So see how actually a person is, how much his thoughts or his feelings are, how powerful they are. So that's what he is saying. The ocean was at such times not divided as now. So likewise, we have some 5 different kinds of oceans. That kind of thing, it was not divided. There was a huge lakes connected underground streams. They are all connected underground streams and divided by the mountain chains. Mountains were divided these waters. The people could stay in the water, warm or cold, for a long time. Whether they are cold or warm, they are able to stay in this water for a long time. And fish would not attack them. In those days, fish is not going to attack this person and eat them and all those things. Even if any fish is trying to attack or anything also, then what will happen is, then they could swim as fast as fish. They could swim as fast as fish, and they can attack. They can kill them as well. Usually the fish will not attack, but if at all they attack, they are having equal energy as that, equal speed. They can go and they can kill the fish using the water force. They are not using any weapons or anything. They used to use the water force only. They do not, because unlike the earth age, they do not you have that most of the metals they were not used. If there is a no contemporaneous earth age was in the blooming with that things, but here there is not. There were fibers. They used the fibers in the cloth, into the cloth. Fibers they were weaving into the cloth and made a fine linen from what? From the fine linen was used, and this fibers was used from where? This fiber is coming from the plants. The water plants only it is coming from that. They are actually making the cloth in those days. They decorated their clothes with many colors from the juices of the vines. Whatever the juices of those vines are coming, right? The berries, all the different berries, the different colors with those, they are used it as a colors, and they are actually decorated. Even nowadays, you can see the natural colors, natural dyeing. People will say, how does it happen? If you go and see, I have seen somewhere, I didn't remember the place exactly. I think in somewhere in Gujarat. They are seeing that vegetable dye. From the vegetables, they are making the colors and they are putting on the saris and the bed sheets and all those things. So that means that's a natural way of doing dyeing or decorating the thing. Here also they are saying they are taking from the vines and berries, and also fish scales, some gems from the fish they are using, and they are decorating the clothes. What is their food? Their food is fish, because they are water-based mostly, right? So their food is fish and marine plants and savory fruits. So these are all the things that are there, what is available under the bottom of the lakes, right? So these are all the things that they are actually they are getting from heat. How they are getting from the heat is again from the water force only. They worked with the water force, and they know how to generate from that water force, how to generate the heat, and they can just get the fire. How the fire also from the water force they used to generate the fire, but in those days the fire is not used so extensively as now. Because they used to obtain, they used to obtain the other ways, not only from the water force, there are other ways to get the power when they need it, but they were not, so much of heat was not used in that, as like in the earth age. Both earth age and water age are conscious of the people, of the earth age, and they are conscious of which the earth people could not touch or use. They were conscious of the water layer, which was in the solid earth, and were conscious of living in it when they are the streams of the lakes. They were conscious, and they know where to live, which streams they can live, what are the lakes from where they can grow the plants, where they can live. And the water layer they used to live, but where they can live, what state they can live. They're conscious about the earth age people. They cannot live in the water, so they have some of they were conscious, and they are taken care in those days. They lived in the small communities. They lived in the communities in the cities, same which was some of which were built on the water. Some communities were built on the water. They live commerce between the different peoples. They have some commerce. Commerce could be anything that they have planted, anything that they've grown, right? So all these things. The water people had sports. Which sports they have? The physical exercises, all connected with water. So it could be swimming or water sports kind of thing, right? So everything, their sports or their physical exercise, everything was connected with water only in the water-dominated water age. They have their arts and sciences. They have their melodious music, peculiar aquatic architecture, and their almost indestructible boats also they have built. Their language is chiefly the all sounds. So they have not all the vowels and consonants. They have all sounds. With that, they are able to do that. They had the literature for the records, and cloth is from the fibers and water plants. They have it. their bodies are having the great endurance. They were not like sick or anything. They have a very great endurance bodies and nobility of the noble features and skill of their arts and great intellectual attainments distinguished from the other water races. They have, some of the people have very specific talents. They have it. So these are all the water age people that they have done. So these are all the distinct things that the water age people have done it. So what earth age people with the gravity most is staying in the earth, they are able to use the metals, they are able to have some roads, still they are there in the still there are the roads are available now also. And now water age people, they started living in the water, they started boats, they started like grow the plants, and from the plants, from those water plants, they just started weaving the clothes and all. So that's how the living. What is the next age? From the water age, the people move to the air age. So here in the air age also, like I said, from the earth to water, how it comes, from water to air when it comes, there are people who lived in the air water age. Those people also passed on to the air age. It is not that the entire water age people was collapsed and then the air age was started. There are people who continuously, there are even people, there are some of the earth age people are also passed on from the water age to air age as well. They know how to adjust their air units. Because here, see, all the air is, so in the earth age means solid bodies. In the water age, like they are actually in the liquid body, so solid liquid. Okay, here air age, solid liquid from airy stage it came. So from the next one is the fire. So how it comes. So we will see. These are all the things. So the discovery of the individual forces. So this, what is that air age people? They started discovering their lightness. They started removing that weight from their bodies, and they can become the light. They can fly like a flight from by themselves. These forces are always existing for anybody. These forces are always existing, and they can be they are present in the human beings. But only thing is they do not know that they are that powerful kind of thing, right? So when that air age comes, they dominant. The air was dominant because they are able to take out their weight from the body. Their manifestation. They manifested their weight to be removed from their bodies. Okay, it is a lesser degree than gravitation. So that much they are able to remove. They're rising into the air. It means only going away from the earth crust. So they're rising the weight means they are rising. They are reducing the weight and they are rising their things means airy means they are going away from the earth crust. Rising when the object was moved light, right? It can be done inside the earth crust or away from the earth crust. Both things. The lightness is affecting the feeling as an ecstasy without producing the foolishness. So feeling as an ecstasy here. That's what the lightness is producing when the air was dominating. It was brought into the play by mental attitude that puts one in touch with the air units and their activate inside, which is the air force, and by breathing, which liberates the force and draws through the nervous of involuntary nervous system. So whenever you are breathing also, the air is like you are breathing into it, right? So whenever you are breathing, so this is growing into your involuntary nervous system. The breathing is involuntary only, right? So that's how we are actually doing it. Its lightness is equal to the mental attitude. The air lightness is equal to your mental attitude. So the body can rise and float like a like and shoot away from the earth. So the body can just fly like a light and it can shoot away from the earth in the air age. Lightness moves away from the earth crust. Flight, like a flight, generally moves like. The characteristic of it is a direction. So how it moves. It receives this by mental set and induced into the body of breathing. So here the mental set, how we actually mentally, again the coming to whatever you are thinking, right? So depending on that thinking, so how that body is inside it, it's a breathing. So you will be moving up. It can be exercised without the force of lightness, without that force of lightness, or with anything you can, the great enough to support. So here that body, the speed and the great everything is when the body is light, right? The speed that you are going up, it is supporting your body. It is enough to support your body. You can become light. Usually both the forces together, Both forces are manifestation of the fundamental earth force, specialized being active in the air. So this is the fundamental earth force. It is actually doing specialized by activity of the air. When the air is actually getting so activate, even the fundamental earth force also will be there, but it is also giving you energy to become the light. It is taking away your weight, so that you can push away from the earth crust. Okay, people can come into the contact with these forces in the layer of air. How they can contact with the layer of air? With their thoughts. Again, with their thoughts. When the thoughts were released, the nerve currents touch the units of the air. When thoughts were released, the nerve currents touch the units of the air. Instead of the earth units, they are actually touching the units of the air units, and then the movement is possible. Then the movement of air units, being at the different rate from the earth units, they contract and overcome the forces exercised by the earth units. When your thoughts are focusing, when your thoughts are reaching to the air units, whatever that the earth units is having, that whatever that earth is having the force on you, that you can overcome and you can just fly. That's what he is saying. The force of the lightness had been used to moderate degree in running and jumping on a land in a rising the water. So they are using, even now we are using that kind of some of the force, right? So running, jumping, all the things. So that there you are using that air dominant energy actually. A greater number became familiar with so as the air age started, so people have getting familiar with this kind of energy, how to use that air energy, how to send your thoughts and interact with these air units. And finally, people were born naturally adjusted to their air forces naturally. So later, whoever was born in that age, so they are naturally adjusting to the to these air forces. One second. Then at the crust of the air age, the people lived in the houses on the earth and floating the houses in the water. There are two. They have lived in the houses of the earth as well as floating houses in the water. They both has both the houses they were lived, but the dominating race was chiefly these two people are there, but dominating race was chiefly lived in the air. They didn't live in the earth or a water. They lived in the air. Some persons, earth seldom took the air and afraid to trust themselves, right? So they lived in the water and earth. People in the air age lived dwellings and huge buildings in the air. They have the huge big buildings in the air itself. They have that kind of thing. They know how to balance it. They know how to build and balance in the air. They remove the weight from the materials, because if in the materials, if the weight is there, then it will fall, right? So they remove the weight from their bodies and they become light, right? So similarly, they remove the weight from the materials and placed in a position in the air so that it can balance, it can be fixed and it can be balanced without falling off. That the people accomplished that, focusing. They focus that and they attach in the buildings and the force of the lightness. There were no streets because they can just fly, right? So there are no streets. The buildings stood on the different levels in the air. So there are different levels. The buildings were stood and people used to just fly kind of thing. So there is no roads. This metal was conductor, the metal was conductor of the force is lightness. What is that conductor of the force is lightness. So removing and lightness. So as you are becoming lighter, you are able to fly from the one place to the another, and was used to impart lightness in organic objects. The people obtained their food. How the food was taken? The food was taken from the fruits, grains, animals of the earth. So this is their food, fruits, grains, and animals of the earth, that is from fish and birds they used to take. Much of their food was drawn from the air itself. So how much of the food was drawn from the air itself? Air means there is no food, right? How the food was drawn? Food is breathing. So when they are breathing, the energy, the vital energy was taken. Most of the people who are living in the air, so they could get the food from the breathing itself. And most plants when the gardens are attached to the houses like in the water age. Their forms were human, but their bodies were surpassed those of earth and water people in the lightness and freshness. Their bodies are like a human being, like earth age or water age, but only thing is their bodies was not like a weight bodies. They were surpassed that weight, and they were very lightweight bodies that they are having it. Breathing so as to touch the forces in the air layer. They learn this more rapidly than the children walk. Children walking, how easy, right? More than that easy, they learn how to fly in the air because of the air forces. As readily as birds can fly, when the bird was born and how they can fly, right? So the human beings also used to fly that. The people uses this air without much effort. They did not put so much effort on it. They walked and worked in their houses, slept in the coaches without exercising because of the force of that flight, force of that air, right? So they are able to do that. In the open, the naturally opened their commands, naturally could live in their commands in the air, and they rested and floated in the air. So not like in the water, not like a water, but in the air itself, they are able to do it. They could control the winds because they have the air energy is dominating, right? So they could control the winds and prevent the storms. The airs, whatever the storms that they are getting there, they could prevent the storms. Sometimes they had wings and shields attached to the back to facilitate the movement. They have some of the human beings, they have that wings and shields attached to that, to attach to them so that they can facilitate that movement. They have the airships for commerce and travel for a long distance. Airships are there, like water ships. They have some airships for the commerce to take the goods from the place to place, right? They use all the products of the earth, its plants, woods, stones, metals, but no complicated machines. Only thing is, whenever they are using, they are removing that weight from that metal or from that wood or anything. Then they are able to make this airship and propelled with the force of the air alone. Their games, how their games are. So obviously water means water games, right? For here, the air means air games, the flying games. Variations are the different variations of the flying, performances in the air, that all vinyasa in the air. The salient features of their sports were graceful sliding or rising movements in the air, accomplished by charming sounds produced by the movements. Whenever they are moving up, so they will produce the charming sounds, and that is the salient. That's a good game in those days. The lights were enhanced when many people engaged in the hormonal movement. Many people were engaged. So, like we have seen that similar thing, right? What do you say? Same thing. What do you say? The flights are coming in some kind of pattern kind of thing. Now also we see, right? Similarly, when there so many people were harmoniously engaging this harmonious movement, right? Sound, color at the same time, they were wrestling the machines and dancing in the air. All these people are dancing in the air. Their art centered around singing and music. Their arts were centered around, because their arts are totally into the singing and music. The instruments were used like trumpets and diaphragms, and were moved varied from the human voice. Unlike the human voice, they use these trumpets and all. The power that sound is directed towards the earth, and the people who heard lost their fear and weight. Whoever heard the sounds, that kind of music, they lose their fear as well as weight, so that they also can fly. At times, there were a proficiency in the sciences among some of the people. There are some people who have a lot of proficiency in science. Like scientists, we have it, right? So similarly, there are some of the people who have proficiency in science. Hundreds of different rates of movements of units adjusted to these by combining, binding, eliminating certain amount of the units. So different habitations were formed, and they were easily more reachable with the force of the air than anything. What is that language in the air, right? They do not have the language when the air dominant, right? They could express their thoughts. They could express themselves through their thoughts. The thoughts can travel. from person to the person. Thoughts can the sheets of the metal. How do they record? So the sheets of the material, right, which the communication to one another, they could write and pass on the things. Because of the people could communicate, because there is not much needed, because the peoples could communicate by thought even with the different things. The nerve matter, whatever the inside the human being nerve matter of their brains contacted the currents that are made by their thoughts in the physical world. Speech and thought are coincide. So here remember, speech and thought are coincide always. Unlike nowadays, there is a one thought, there is a one speech is coming up. Here, in the A dominated thing, the speech and the thought is always coincided. If anyone told lie, which means if anyone told lie means their thought is different, their voice is different, right? So whenever that is not, whenever those are not coincide, so they will not be able to communicate at those. So people will easily understand, because whatever that you are communicating and your thought is also traveling to the other person. Suppose if I say something to Sirisha, but inside I'm saying something. Okay, she asked, oh, today shall we have a class? Okay, if she says no, it will be good. That is in my mind. But in outside, if I say Sirisha, okay, I'll come. If I say, that thought is also traveling to her, so she'll understand that, oh, she is not in a mood, so then she'll do something. That's how, even if it is not coinciding, people will understand what it is exactly. The things which they wanted to put on a record of information, news or a literature, they inscribed and sounded again as the plates, connected the reservoir of the life plane of the physical world. The life plane of the physical world, they inscribed, surrounded by again as the plates, and did it. People thereafter want the information to be preserved. From here onwards, people want the information to be preserved. They want some kind of preservation. They want to, so they started registered with some word signs. Some registered, they started with the word signs. After getting the subject, the sign word, they could go over, record it at home, and then with some device and receiving and reproducing the sounds, they can do that. Books and libraries are not existing in these days, because they were not needed. When you can transfer your everything with the thoughts, so the books and libraries are not there. That is all about, what is that? All about air age. What is left now?
Fire age.
Fire age. The last one is the fire age. Succeeded by the air age, gradually people grow out and dominated it. The air age was continued to exist, but the human beings in the fire age had the same form and figure as the air age people. They differ noticeably in the presence of conscious power. The fire age, they differ with the conscious power. They have, compared to the air age people, they have a more conscious power. They were told, or they were given as a superiority, because more conscious power is more superior, right? So they were more superior. The eye is the thing. Fire, the eye which is appeared. So they can, with the eye, they can command, they can express a sentiment, they can express a thought with their eye. In the fire dominant people age, the age began. Some of the air age people are there. They become acquainted with the fire age, because fire age is a radiant matter, airy, right? So it's a radiant matter, which is the starlight. Here is the main energy is the starlight. They become conscious of their fire units within them and layer of the fire. After the other, they are aware, or they were conscious about their starlight. People developed into the fire people now. In a fire age, there were earth also. There are earth people also. There are the water people also lived, and also the air people also communicated each other by travel and trading. So they are able to communicate each other. People on the earth age had bodies adjusted and restricted to use with the solid bodies, because solid liquid, then liquid airy, and here airy radiant matters. The fluid solid is the next one, airy solid is the next one. Here is the radiant solid. Now the fire age people, we have the radiant solid people are there. Radiant solid units are there in the fire age. The fire units on the physical plane are, what is the fire units are? Starlight. Starlight is very imperceptible. Condensation of its mass produces the bodies of the stars. Condensation of its mass produces the bodies of the stars. They saw them and saw them. By means of them, could see the forces of radiant solid layer through what? How the starlight works. How the last some time back we talked about the starlight works with sunlight. Through sun only the starlight works. The people on the earth age can see the starlight when they use the sunlight. Okay, the fire age people are using the starlight when the sun is actually when the sun is actually shining on the stars. The sun is the main focus of the forces. The airy center of the airy layer, throughout the sun streams their sunlight. Throughout the sun is streaming their sunlight. It is a mixture of radiant, airy, fluid, solid units. Starlight works through airy matter and then becomes the main activity of the sunlight. That's how it is acting. The fourfold sunlight screens off portions of each set of units and so retains supplies what needed to keep up the activities of the earth crust. Whatever the activities that are needed for the earth crust, it's keeping, because now slowly coming up. So see, all the things are coming. Now also we are using that sunlight. With that only, the earth crust, whatever it is keeping up its activities. One day the sun didn't come, then we all will be like, last 2 days we don't have, we were like -5, 22 degrees Fahrenheit, which is not usual. Maybe East Coast people were very used to that. We were all like struck in the home kind of thing last 2 days. Today it reached to 40. Oh my God, the temperature was good kind of feeling. So here similarly, the earth crust, when the sun is the one which is making the earth crust people, everyone, the main thing that is needed is the sunlight. These forces produce the light, heat, power, generation, decomposition. All the things is coming from the different range of the sunlight only. It is necessary that the earth crust should give up earth units, furnish some material to produce this effect. Some of the material it should give up in order to produce this kind of the heat, all the things, right? It has to give up some of the material and some of the earth crust, and then it gave. The heat and electricity without being dependent on screening on the range of sun, on the action of the solid crust is sending out to the units to meet the incoming sunlight. So with the sunlight, all these things can be. The habitations of the fire people, how they are there? They were in the air. The habitations of the fire people are in the air. Also on the water, also on the earth. Most of the pink people are in the air. They were conscious of using their medium of fire present in the air. So they were conscious of using their media, air, whatever the heat, whatever the fire that is there in the air it is using, whatever the fire that is there in the water they are using, whatever the fire that is there on earth they are using, they were conscious of using that heat or fire from the various other elements. If they did it, they were immediately sensed to be the superior, because they are able to sense, whenever they are using this light, right, by fire, so they were immediately sensed. They were like a smart or intelligent people, so they were given as a superior people than the other age people. Their power lies in their eyes. With the eyes, they could command. With the eyes, they can express the thoughts. With the eyes, they can do so. See the mother, even now, mother, by seeing, when the child has seen the mom, with that look, the child can understand so much. That's the power of the eyes, right? So that is the fire element. They could eat any animal because fire is the thing, right? So they can just cook, they can eat any animal or a vegetable foods, or a fluids, or breathing only. They can do anything. Their bodies were physical, but they could do things that others could not do it. Though their bodies were physical, the other age people, whatever they cannot do it, they are able to do it. They engaged in this fire. They are engaged in agriculture, commerce, mechanics, and arts. All the things were developed in this fire age. They could produce the things for the earth people, whoever, so they could produce some of the things, and same thing they could produce some of the things for water people and some of the things for air people, because fire age people assisted all other age people because they were smart, they were superior. They were treated as superior. Because they could see the things, they could use the fire element, they could see the power in that elements, they could see the activities of the, suppose if the one plant is growing, so they could see the activity of the seed, how the root is going, how it can grow, all the things they could see. They blended the plants and produced so they blended the two different plants, they blended and they produced the new fruits, new vegetables, and the new grains were produced in those days. The earth made great waterways, and they used the huge machines cut under the water and the drainage dredge. They could see all that going the great depths and direct operation. All these operations were started in the fire age, because there were some of the people who could think through, who can see all the things that is going on. The height of the fire age is the foremost among the fire people needed only their bodies to accomplish they wished. So they could mold their bodies as they wish. Whatever the thought they could mold, they could do it. 4 fingers was used. 4 fingers were used. See, index finger is for fire. Okay. The middle finger is for air. The third finger is for water, and this finger, the little finger, is for earth. So all the fingers, they are able to use all the things. They could do the way as directed by their thoughts, right? With the fingers of the left hand, they are sensed. With the fingers of right hand, they could direct the stream of the units to the elements. They could direct the stream of the units, earth unit, how they can direct. With those fingers, they could do that much. They are able to live at the same time. With their bodies, they could live at the same time in a different places. In a different place, we would have read in a different Guru Charitra or some places, right, that Nrsimha Saraswati has, on a Diwali day, he appeared in a different places. To everybody, he says that I will come to your village only. Everybody, he'll say, oh, I'll come to your village, I'll come to your village. But at the end, he goes to all villages. And when the next festival comes, people are saying, oh, Swami came to my village, Swami came to my village. But apparently, he was there in all villages. All the places. That's what here he is saying. They can go, the fire people, they can go to any number of places as long as their thought goes, they can go. That's what. When their thought goes, the organs, they can go. Their organs or bodies are reservoirs of the force. Their nerves are connected with the respective systems. Here, their nerves were connected with the respective systems of their earth, all those things, elements, right? So, as directed, the digestive system, then systems and the sense of the smell, it was directed. Then the forces of the water was entered into and they were into the circulatory system. They were, and the forces of the air into the which system? Can you tell me? We all taught these things many times. The forces of the water and earth passed into which system?
Respiratory.
Respiratory system, yes. Which passes through. Respiratory system is passing through circulatory and digestive systems too. Speech was the power and unified the 4 states. Sunlight unifies the 4 kinds of, all the kinds of the lights. The starlight was present throughout the others. They used it through generative systems and sense of the light. So the physical bodies of the foremost among the fire people could pass through any part of the earth. The physical bodies of the fire people could pass through any part of the earth. They can pass through, this cup is here. The physical body can pass through in this. And they can go any part of the thing because the matter has no the density, they can just pass through. They appear in a different, they appear several places at the same time because it's a radiant solid body. They have a radiant solid body. They can appear as long as their thought is there, they can appear. When they withdraw the thought, they'll come out of the thought. That is what here the fire people had use the 4th dimension. Being conscious, because they are conscious, their thought power is actually going everywhere. This is meant they could pass or in and work work in the fire, they can pass through the air, they can pass through the earth units, they can pass through all units. Okay, that is why they were called the superior people. They remained visible in these different places until they continued to think. Once they stopped thinking, they disappear from themselves, from the other places. That is what thinking is, the main thing. They could disappear whenever they wished. They could cut off from their bodies or the contact from their bodies whenever they wished. They could examine any cell or organ of the human body and use it whichever way that they want to do it. They communicate among themselves through thoughts as well as speech. In the fire age people, they could communicate through speech as well as thoughts. Distance was no obstruction for them. There's no hearing to each other sounds in the nature. It is easy, they can hear. Because you are in a long away, you cannot hear that, nothing like that. Thought will go just like that. There were the laws that prevented to use these forces beyond certain limits. There are some laws which they cannot use these forces beyond certain limits. The people of the fire age could not interfere with the law thought without too great injury themselves. So they cannot interfere with the thoughts of the others, or they cannot do the injury to to themselves also. There is some limitations or some laws, I can say. Their powers reached out everything in the 4 zones, like solid state, fluid state, and all those states, physical plane and the nature side, but there are many things themselves as the doers. So they had not mastered even though they had all the powers, but as the doers, they have not mastered many skills. How to do some of the things consciously, all those things which some other individual have done, these people have not mastery. So they started declining because they all have power. So they born with the power, they without mastering or without using it a proper sense, right? Even though you have a power, so give. There are some families you have seen, the parents or grandparents work very hard. They earned crores and crores of rupees and they had an estate. But when it comes to the grandson or the next one, they don't have anything, because when that power is there, when they do not learn how to maintain it or how to build it up further, then what they will do, they just simply spend. When they are just simply spending on that, then all the things will go with no matter. Then these people were normal. Similarly, here also, the air people, when they were not mastered or when they were not as a doer, when they do not learn how to do it, slowly their age was declined and the disappearance of the fire age was happened. The high point of the fire age was marked at the highest point in the air, water and earth ages. Air, water and earth ages. The fire was the thing. The fire age disappeared, each of others were deteriorated and vanished by degrees. The last and crumble was earth age. Last thing that was crumbling is earth. Earth age only was a stable. So once this earth age was crumbled, right, then all that bleak earth was succeeded. So it's all bleak earth, right? It's not that great. It is it's a waste kind of thing, right? So barbarians. So started the living the barbarians who degenerate the remnants of the 4 ages. These 4 ages, who were all the remnants, right? Those people were started living in this barbarian, the degradation part of the earth age. They do not have, they do not even have memory also. From all these people, earth age has some qualities, air age has some qualities, water age has some qualities, and fire age has a supreme powers. But these barbarians, once all these got diminished, then these barbarians who lived in this remnants of the earth people, they do not even have the memory. They were newly outcast from this earth, right? So only they remind some of the here there remind some traditions of the people of the 4 ages and distorted legends of the supernatural beings and divine powers. So there are some of the distorted legends. It's not the proper. So these are the barbarians, they lived in that. So we will see what happened after that. The 4th civilization will start, right? So slowly the civilization will start. So these are the powerful things that they have happened, and all the things because one element was dominant. One element. Now we say that Now in among all of us, there are each one of us will have one dominant character. It is not that 4 elements will not be equal in all of us. Some people, like Sai Palvi, if you take, she will be on the air only all the time for the dancing. So say maybe the air element is dominating in her. So that could be the reason why it is happening. What's happening, Sirisha? Why that?
Yeah.
I
The
don't know
back of
actually. It's what's happening on the side.
Last time also I saw some balloons. Well, I thought maybe it is
No,
something.
no.
I don't
It's
know. So some age people are here. Some age
yeah.
people are giving some lights to me.
radiant. Radiant.
Yeah.
Radiant,
Like
radiant,
higher age
radiant.
people that celebrate.
They're
Actually,
celebrating.
when it comes to radiant, I was thinking of Mahatma Babaji. He
Yes,
also
exactly.
he
Yeah,
is an example.
yes. No, all these things you feel like, oh, you can't believe it, right? But when you
Hold,
learn all these
one
things,
one second. 1 second.
Yeah, anyway, I'll stop the live.
yeah, you can stop because the session we close the section 6 only.
Yeah.